And here we go. What's up, y'all? Our Thoughts back. It's Matt, and of course, Cesco on the other end. The Weeknd, How Do I Make You Love Me music video just dropped. Crazy animated music video. One of only a few animated music videos that The Weeknd has done, but this one definitely is on a whole nother level. If you guys have seen it, if you haven't, go ahead and check it out before you watch this video, because we're about to go all into it. Deep dive, connections, how it connects to Dawn FM, how it connects to After Hours. Let's jump into it.
Let's dive in.
Sure.
Man, love this music video. Love this music video. It felt like Dawn FM, the summer blockbuster, but also avoided feeling like kind of a watered down version of The Weeknd's vision. Like, it's still as gory, still as vibrant, and has this like morbid humor that I feel like has been present throughout Dawn FM. You know, he jumps off a building, you think he's gonna do a cool like superhero landing or fly, and then he just hits the ground. The scene where he's bashing his head into the door on the beat legitimately had me cracking up. Love the anime feel of it, which, you know, as you alluded to before, one of two animated music videos, and I want to discuss that in a second. One thing I want to discuss, man, love how it picks up right after the Out of Time music video, like literally maybe moments after. What did you think about just the story it told and how it directly connected to the music video we got previously?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, I mean, obviously there's a lot of parallels you can connect to the last Dawn FM music video. I think it's cool that just how much the storyline is super clear so far in all the videos we've gotten from Dawn FM. You know, we got like even the very first one with Take My Breath, it starts right after we end from Until I Bleed Out with After Hours, and then we go straight into the party.
And the ending of this one could lead into the next one, like very easily. So it really is like a Dawn FM the movie, which is great.
Yeah, the last frame we see in the Out of Time music video is Jim Carrey putting on the mask. The mask is on already. It's in sort of the same style as the Snow Child music video. I think Snow Child had much more like world building, and obviously it went through like the history of The Weeknd, where this is staying within the realm of Dawn FM and continuing that story. But what I think in terms of the story of this music video, which is kind of all over the place from a narrative standpoint, you know, he kind of gets free from the hospital or whatever, like his arms are being pulled apart, he's like blowing up a big ass version of himself that takes over the whole city. Like,
great imagery.
Yeah, great imagery. But I think it all ties in to what The Weeknd has been preaching on the album this whole time, the kind of mentality or the message that he's been describing to us through things like Less Than Zero, like Starry Eyes and stuff like that. Like all those different messages he's sprinkling throughout is still carrying over to this video. Let's just start out with the most gruesome aspect of the video, which is his limbs literally being torn apart. It starts out with his arm, and it's like this little baby like T-Rex arm, and then like his legs get torn off. But there's something still beneath. It's almost like a shell that he's in. And what I kind of saw that as is kind of like this whole music video and Dawn FM is examining The Weeknd. You know, he's being poked and prodded, and that he's basically a product of his environment that, you know, granted, he put himself in there, but it took over him. You know, the people he was around, the environment, the relationships he was in, you know, they all kind of created their own versions of him and projected them onto himself. And he just became those versions, you know, he lost a part of himself. And I think what we're seeing here in How Do I Make You Love, in the How Do... I can't even say in the How Do I Make You Love Me music video, we're seeing him finally be stripped away of that shell, be stripped away of what could be the old version of himself, and returning back to his inner child, you know, before he was a sinful man, you know, before he was into all the dark tendencies that he's created entire life, persona and career over. He's kind of reverted all the way back. So that's
to his virgin ways.
Yes, his virgin ways. But I mean, there's something really big about that. You know, we're seeing people being very psychoanalytical of themselves, you know, how to heal themselves from the inside. We see that with Mr. Morale, obviously, with Kendrick Lamar. I mean, if you've seen his concert, he has a little puppet version of himself, you know, and it's kind of similar idea to what this music video is, which is this baby version of him, of The Weeknd. So it's like he's already being able to see himself from this third point of view and dissect who he is and why he is the way that he is, and trying to revert his toxic tendencies. But yeah, that's kind of where my head went first when I saw the gruesome imagery and the metaphorical, stuff like that. But what did you think of the imagery as well, especially of like his head being blown up and stuff like that? Like, what did you think that all meant?
So first of all, I love what you mentioned with the idea of like there's a shell, but there's still a human inside that's really like at the heart of what the Weeknd is. And I really love that that gives this character so much humanity through, shame, being dejected by society. You feel like this desperation he has to be human and to feel loved through, Hoyun's character from Out of Time. He had that moment where he's holding her in his hand and, he feels like this is his last chance at love. To have it deflate and go away, I think is something that maybe the Weeknd has felt, in order to succeed and thrive. He's had to give away some of the stuff that would gives him the feeling of being a person, of being a human. It's really shown when he is in that elevator, and he's like crawling like an animalistic way. It's that like Hunchback of Notre Dame, Elephant Man moment where it's like, am I even human anymore? Like I am, like.
I am not an animal. I am a human being.
He's like declaring to this girl that he is a human, but she doesn't see him like that. So very cool imagery of that. Again, what you're saying is how the industry can almost make you inhuman.
Yeah.
So love that. Some of the imagery that we saw, that like that big-headed thing, I don't know if I'm crazy, but I think that's like the first time in this Don FM story that we get like direct confirmation that this is the After Hours character. We've implied it, we've dissected things and be like, okay, this is definitely the character. The way he walks out of the desert and Take My Breath compared to the Snow Child music video, or Until I Bleed Out. But this is the first time where we really got to see the After Hours character in Don FM. So, if we're getting into the kind of the connections between this music video and just like the entire saga we've gotten so far, I feel like that may have represented what we discuss purgatory to be like in Don FM, which is that, it's this world where you're constantly reminded of your mistakes. Through these music videos, we've gotten, drugs would Take My Breath, violence or fear with Gasoline. And now here we are with How Do I Make You Love Me? And it's love. He's trying to hold on to the things he loves and he fails. And frankly, like he fails miserably each time. Now with the moment where he gets reborn as a baby, which again, there's just so many things we need to get to. We'll get to that in a second. I feel like that may have been representative of that cycle. Again, like he's starting over that cycle. So that After Hours big balloon thing, I think may have represented him just like, again, that reminder of like who you were in real life and you're paying the consequences for it now. So you got to really, it's this music video, I took it as hopefully the come to Jesus moment where he's like, okay, these kind of moments have been very big parts of my life, so maybe I should reflect on them. And well, first of all, what did you think about just the idea that this is definitely the After Hours character? Like this is definite confirmation about it.
Yeah, I think we were safe to assume that from the beginning that these two stories were connected.
It is a trilogy. It is an album trilogy.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I think what's most interesting is how he uses the image of himself or his head really blowing up. I think that's often a metaphor people say or a saying where like your ego's getting huge, you're getting, or it could even be representative of his career in that After Hours era, how he just blew up to monumental stature as he's the number one artist in the world. So that could be where he had his biggest revelation, is during that era and during those moments where he's realizing like, I'm the Weeknd, the idea of the Weeknd, the brand, the story, the I guess lore that he's been creating over the past decade of his career has gotten so big and it's become such a like worldwide phenomenon that maybe he lost his sense of his self, where it ends up imploding in on himself,
Wow.
So I feel like that could also be a connection there in terms of what the After Hours era meant for him. Obviously it meant huge levels of stardom. Like he basically made it, that was his whole goal was, Cali is the mission, right? Like from the beginning, and you got Starboy and then finally After Hours, the album that the fans wanted him to make, and that just launched him into this crazy trajectory in his career. And I think that image of his artistic identity imploding, caving in on itself. You know, we have that image of him, of the walls caving in, where he has to be stripped of everything. You know, that's where he becomes, I think he loses his leg and like his other arm, and then he basically turns into a child again. And so it's like this representation of his persona could be an indication that maybe the Weeknd, or this idea of the Weeknd, the facade of the Weeknd, could be done. You know, like he could be moving on to whatever is next. Could just be Abel. It could just be Tesfaye, whatever it is.
It could be an entirely new alias. It could be the Weekday.
The Weekday, you know? Yeah. The Weekender, or I don't even know. Vampire Weeknd. Makes me really curious about where we're headed in the next chapter, where we're headed even in the next music video, because there are so many signs pointing that the Weeknd could no longer be the Weeknd.
Like, in a way, it's almost like the sequel to the other animated music video we've gotten, Snow Child. Through Snow Child, we get the entire story of the life of, you know, this character, the Weeknd. You know, we see him come up from the House of Balloons, you know, work his way up, meet the devil, or, you know, whoever's running the music industry. That experience has shaped him so much that now he's barely even human. And then that kind of culminates in him being reborn. Another theory that I've been seeing on the internet is that this is symbolism that this new baby could be this new artist that we're about to get introduced to, Abel, or, you know, whatever he'll go on to be. So I don't know, like it's a very interesting story. We've never seen someone potentially set up the end of a big artistic chapter. Like, I remember he was talking about The Idol, and he was saying, like, I've been busy working on this 11-year character I've been working on called The Weeknd. And I love the way he thinks about it like that. Like, this is almost like a method actor role that he's taken so seriously that
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. What? You dudes don't know what dude he is.
It's just in a different medium. It's not a movie. It's through his album. So I really appreciate that. I just love the way he thinks about his art. You know, like he really approaches it like art, not like commercialization. The fact that he's able to, you know, still be, the top charts, #1 single of all time, Blinding Lights, is like, you know, goes to show just how great of an artist he is. So I want to run through a couple more Dawn FM After Hours connections real quick. Towards the end, we see him in an elevator. He kind of crashes into an elevator, similar to how we started off this whole thing with the After Hours short film. The elevators close on him, being this like predator figure. And then we see it again, the elevators in Out of Time. We see him before he went to his toxic ways and he's in love. And then now we see him and he is as animalistic as ever. And another thing that we've been keeping track of in our video with Thought, aka Pearl Fountain, shout out to you, is like the presence of nature, I think, has been really interesting throughout this whole After Hours trilogy. You know, After Hours music videos eras didn't really have anything with nature except for the flower blooming or souring. Then we go to Dawn FM, we have Gasoline, same thing, the flower rots, but we see little bits starting to poke through the walls, maybe indicating that life and purity is starting to come back into the story here. You know, throughout this music video, we see bits of nature. We see butterflies, you know, he inside the mask, butterflies start flying out or whatever. I think that could represent like the natural bit of the Weeknd that we know starting to come out a little bit, but people not necessarily wanting that. You know, when he gets hit by the car and the butterflies come out, she's horrified. So maybe this could represent people not really fucking with the non-toxic music, that, you know, the idea that in Dawn FM that you could get better, you know, maybe that doesn't speak to certain people. So another thing there, also Hoyoon is seen tending to some plants. You know, she could represent kind of
life, that purity.
That purity, yes. His head coming off, similar to the In Your Eyes music video. I think it's a similar framed shot.
Always getting decapitated.
I know. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Is there anything else any other connections that you want to discuss, or any of the ones I laid out you want to kind of delve into?
Yeah, I think I wanted to touch on that moth imagery. You know, there's always this like butterfly or this moth that shows up. I mean, he even has a track on the Swedish House Mafia album called Moth to a Flame.
Moth to a Flame.
So it's all this imagery of a moth is very prevalent. Butterflies too. You could take it as he's coming out of his shell, he's evolving, like coming into his own natural, beautiful state. The moth that comes from him turns into this big monster that takes all these people with it, so that could be potentially an indication that the idea of him being vulnerable, the idea of his real self coming to fruition and being what he leads his life in, could scare him. Like you said, the woman was terrified when she saw that. So it could be an internal fear that he has, that when he finally sheds all those layers, all the things that the environment, the press, the media, the audience, the music industry has put onto him, when that's all stripped down, maybe that could indicate that he's terrified that people won't like what they see, and that it could be worse and take more people down with him. You talk about how he's created this character over the past 11 years. Maybe at one point he could not find that line that separated Abel from The Weeknd. I think what Dawn FM and the arc from After Hours to Dawn FM is finally separating himself again and finding himself after being in character, I guess, for the past 11 years. You kind of lose yourself into the role a little bit. And I think maybe that could have been a manifestation, a visual manifestation in this animated music video of a deep-rooted fear that Abel might have of finally coming out of his shell of whatever toxic version of him and being pure, or just who he truly is.
I hate to keep referencing Kendrick, but there's just two of the most incredible, fascinating artists that are able to talk about themselves like this. One of my favorite lines from Mr. Morale is, if I told you who I really was, would you hold it against me? Or would you use it against me? And I think that's on a similar note is like, if I peel back this character of The Weeknd,
right?
Will you love the music I make? Will you love the person I am? Because, you've shown so much love to this toxic version of me. After Hours, one of the greatest albums, commercially and artistically, what it was able to do. You talk about one group of people we've discussed a lot is like the trilogy truthers, the people that have held on to this idea of The Weeknd. And now that he's not making that music anymore, it's like, leave him. It's all right, whatever. So I guess this whole album, has just been him, this whole trilogy actually so far has been him struggling with that. And I think After Hours was very interesting to me because it provided that clear line, that it provided that boundary of like, this is The Weeknd, this is Abel Tesfaye.
Going off of that line you just mentioned from Kendrick, the if I showed you who I really was, would you hold it against me? I think that plays perfectly into the entire idea of this track, How Do I Make You Love Me? I mean, just that question in and of itself, literally, like he was The Weeknd. You loved that part of him. You loved what he stood for. Now he's finally deconstructing that true self that he's presenting to you in this form of the butterfly or the ripening flower or the moth. That is not enough. So now he's like, if I've showed you who I truly am and you still don't love me, how do I make you love me? So I think that's a huge aspect of this song of Dawn FM and of this internal like existential struggle that The Weeknd has been dealing with the past 2, 3, 5 years. So I think there's a lot of imagery to pull from, and it's all kind of layered into that question of how do I make you love me? So I feel like it's definitely all connected. There's definitely some internal fears, some anxieties, some struggles that The Weeknd is presenting to us in this very visual and literal way, which is really cool. I think Kendrick and The Weeknd are both on that similar wavelength in terms of shedding their stardom for who they are without all that, and the people around them being worried that they will not love them without all the glitz and glamour of their fame.
Yeah, just tearing down this character, The Weeknd. I love it. Man, ending of this music video left us in a very weird place. We've shed the skin and the music is just like swelling up in a way that it leads us to believe that it's going to lead right into the next music video. So with that said, what would you predict the next music video could be?
I really hope it's less than 0. That would be a good cap. I feel like I don't know how many more music videos, he has left in store for the Dawn FM era. There's probably a reason this one was animated, just so that it could be made and he doesn't have to be in it, you know, or nobody has to be in it.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, the man's booked and busy. He's in a show. He's on tour right now. You know, he's doing a bunch of stuff. So I feel like, if anything, the next music video might be the last installation into the Dawn FM music video universe. I would like to be proven wrong, but if it is the last one, I think Less Than Zero is the perfect note to end on, and might take us into what could be a teaser, a taste, a glimpse into that third chapter of what to expect. It's kind of set itself up in terms of restarting and showing us a new beginning, or at least a hint of a new beginning.
To see it go, man, to see the Dawn FM era go and how amazing it's been, I would love for it to end in this grand finale of Less Than Zero. You know, that song is it's like melancholic euphoria, the way I describe it, like the saddest song about, or the happiest song about sadness you'll ever hear. So I think that just perfectly describes everything about Dawn FM. So that would definitely be my answer as well if this was the finale. But if we are going to get more, I would personally like to see Here We Go Again. And it'd be really cool if he really highlights the kind of cyclical nature of it all, you know, like Dawn FM, the album loops, you know, we talk about you're going to be in purgatory for a long time, so enjoy yourselves. I would like to see this story become like all encompassing, like really take place over a great deal of time to show that this character went through it. So that way, when we see him in whatever the next album is, Afterlife, we appreciate the journey he's went on, and I'd like to really see that. And not that we haven't seen it, like this has already been a great journey so far, but I would love for it to be like Here We Go Again, and throughout the entire music video we just see him fucking up every single cycle, you know, in some way. Just like basically like imagine every music video but like times 100, and like we just see him fucking up.
I mean, why even bother at this point? I'm obviously never gonna get it right.
All right, y'all, those are our thoughts on the How Do I Make You Love Me music video by The Weeknd. Let us know if you checked it out, and if you did, what your thoughts were in the comments below. Of course, y'all go crazy with the theories in the comments, so we're definitely gonna be down there lurking and talking shit. So go ahead, leave your hot take on what you thought about the music video, what you think The Weeknd is gonna do next time, and what you think about him potentially not being The Weeknd anymore, which is crazy. Also, you can see Cesco already doing what he's gonna do for the rest of the night. Dawn FM on deck. All right, had to flex the vinyl.
Man, I'm gonna be if purgatory, it sounds like this. I'm not worried about heaven. That's all I'll say.
Oh shit.
Forget the eternal whatever everlasting happiness. This is good enough for me.
Damn, demon time, for real. Also, if you guys want to talk to us a little bit more than we do in these videos, go ahead and check out our live show, which is every single Thursday, 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, called Our Thoughts Live. We talk pop culture, we talk movies, we talk video games, we have award shows, game nights, album drafts.
We do it all, baby. We do it all.
We do it all. The best live show on YouTube, in my opinion. So be there or be square. Let's every Thursday, 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, right on this channel, Our Thoughts Live. Of course, socials in the link below if you want to keep connected to us on social media. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
OurThoughts.